Hi, everybody. So in this video, I'm going to go over how you sort of set up your file and get ready to do assignment 4. So you may have seen the write-up for assignment 4 by now. Now, I'm not going to go through each step. I'm going to go through some of those, but I'm going to sort of kind of skip around in there and do some things. And then when you begin the assignment, you'll have this stuff in your head and you just follow those steps and you'll know exactly what to do. So the first thing I want to do is create a new file for assignment 4. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Drawing here in the Start tab. So here's our brand new file. I'm going to change the units to architectural right away. It's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do that on every time I start a new file. And now I'm going to do Save As. And I'm going to save this as Kevin Kinney Assignment 4 version 1. In the assignment write-up, I just say your name, Assignment 4, but you can version things too in case you want to sort of start over again and start fresh, however you want to do it. So I'm just going to save over this file that I already made, and I'm going to replace it. So here's our new file ready to go for our architectural tiling project. Model space is ready to go, but now we want to set up paper space. Okay, so in the previous lectures, I showed you how to attach your title block, XREF it in, and put it into paper space. So that's exactly what we're going to do here again. Now, before I do that, let me close that. I'm going to go ahead and open up my title block from assignment 3. In this case, I'm going to use Kylie's again. Okay, and so here's that title block for assignment 3. I'm going to go ahead and save this title block as something like this. Kevin Kinney, 11 by 17 title block, assignment 4. Okay, and I'm going to save it. Okay, so now it's a brand new file. Now, why would I want to do that? Okay, here's why. Because let's say I just used the title block for the previous assignment and I put it right in my assignment 4 and I didn't do this save as step. Then the information on the title block might reflect, say, assignment 3 or assignment 2, but it wouldn't reflect assignment 4. So we need to make our own file and update the information over here and then bring that into our assignment 4 project. So it's specific to assignment 4. So I'll leave K Design and the address and things like that because that's sort of the company information. But I might change this and call this we could say architectural mosaic because that is sort of the assignment. This could be the we can leave this address because maybe it's like the address of where the project is located, something like that. Designed by, drawn by, that's fine. Date, we could change this to the due date, which would be next Friday, 10/16. Arc Software 1 is good, but I might right align this so it lines up with the rest of these. Or I might also say move some of these over. Just a little something like that, so they sort of all align with Arc Software 1. And this looks like some sort of call this architectural tiling. This is kind of reflecting the assignment name again. And then layout, let's just call this one. So this is sort of what is on the page. So this will be our architectural mosaic. So there is some redundant information here. You could give a different client name here. That's fine. And I'll just leave the page number as is because I'm only going to have one page number for this assignment. So I don't need to worry about swapping this information out as I did in lecture 2. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please watch that. So this looks good for my assignment 4 title block. Now I'm going to save this and then I'm just going to close it. Now I'm going to go back to assignment 4. Now I'm in layout 1. So I'm in the paper space for layout 1. I'm going to delete the viewport on there. And the first thing I'm going to do is XREF in the title block. So I'm going to make a new layer and I'll call it XREF. I'll keep the color to white. Now you notice this. This is interesting. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to the model space and go into my layer properties. Notice it says white and it has the actual white color. See that? Now I'm going to go into layout 1 and go into my layer properties, and now it's black because that's how it would be printed. So it's a little backwards, I guess, in a way of how you think about it. So white lines in model space are going to print black. Okay, so this over here is kind of showing us that. So just keep that in mind. That's why you see a different color there. That's why it says white, but it's black. That's really helpful, CAD. Thank you. So we have an XREF layer. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to my XREF layer and I'm going to type in XREF. I'm going to attach a DWG. I'm going to attach the assignment 4 title block that I just made and saved and changed the information on, and hit open. I'm going to hit OK here because remember, I didn't change any information here. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. Now it's asking me to place it. So I could click anywhere in space, or I can type 0, 0, enter. So that went in the corner of the drawing. The 0, 0 of my title block file is now perfectly overlaid on top of the 0, 0 of my paper space. Okay. Oops. Let me just hit something there. I'm going to close the layer XREF manager. And now I'm going to set up my print. Okay, so this should be on the XREF layer, which it is. Grayed out a little bit because it's telling me, hey, this is an XREF. And now I'm going to right click on layout 1 and do page setup manager. I'm going to modify layout 1. I'm going to change this to Adobe PDF. Now, just side note here, a lot of people have been having issues with printing the PDF. Here's how I would handle this assignment. I would make your 2 files, finish everything, then log on remotely to a school computer and print from there, because everything should be on there, the Adobe PDF, everything. Now, before you print on the school computer, you might want to open Adobe Acrobat. That might increase the potential of success to get this printed properly. So log on to the computer, open Adobe PDF, open CAD, and get going. So that would be a good way to do it. Okay, Adobe PDF, paper size. This is an 11 by 17. What to plot? I want to select window and go upper left of my title block here to bottom right. Center the plot. Keep the scale at 1:1. Fit to paper should not be selected. I'll click landscape here. That's fine. And I'll hit OK. And I'm going to hit close. Wow, look at that. Oh, excuse me. I have a perfect title block overlaid perfectly on the sheet. My paper space is ready to go. The only thing that I need to add here would be my viewport, which is then showing my mosaic that I have drawn in model space. Okay, so this looks good here. So now I'm going to go ahead and save this. My model space is ready for my drawing. My paper space looks good so far. So I might right click on my layout 1 here and rename that. And I'll call this one A-2.1, which mimics the page number. And that looks good. So I'm ready to go and I'm ready to draw my mosaic. Okay. So what is the deal with this assignment? All right. So I want to show you some imagery here to kind of get your heads spinning a little bit. So basically what I want you to do, let me get to it here. Let me find some examples. Okay. So here is an example of a 3-inch by 3-inch tile with some really cool geometric information on it. Okay, so there's lines on here, there's hatch patterns on here, there's putting something on my list to show you. There's hatch patterns on here. There's a beautiful sort of rigor to this drawing. So like it looks like the drawing was kind of split diagonally. Something was drawn over on this side and then it was mirrored and drawn, and that same drawing is over here. And then once you do that and you finish this tile, now this is one of the tiles right here. Okay, so it was mirrored over here. Then these two tiles were mirrored down. Then those two tiles were mirrored over. Then these tiles were mirrored over, and these tiles were mirrored over. So really, you're designing one 3-inch by 3-inch tile, and then you are sort of expanding it into this mosaic and seeing what you get. So you have to be really precise and draw the most beautiful tile you can imagine. And sort of practice all of the skills that we have gone through thus far. So we've gone through all different ways to draw geometry and hatches, changing hatch patterns, changing hatch scales, and then modifying, moving that information around on the screen to get it to go exactly where we want. Okay, so this is an example that you can take a look at. Here's another example. Now look at this here. So this is clearly one tile. So really all you'd have to draw on this one 3-inch by 3-inch tile is 1/4 of it. So if you drew 1/4, mirrored it here, mirrored it here, mirrored it here, and then you mirror the whole tile over here, over here, over here, that's how you get the broader mosaic. Now this is showing only 4 tiles, but in the assignment, I'm having you make a landscape 3 tiles by 4 tiles. So it's a 9-inch by 12-inch mosaic, which is really what this one is, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles this way and 3 tiles this way. I want you to do the exact same thing. I just want you to have it rotated to be a landscape. So you could just have mirrored it to the right instead of up or down, for example. So here's an example. So all these examples are attached to the assignment sheet. Here's another one. Now here's another one. Now you could think of this as one tile, or you could think of this as one tile. So if this is one tile, you would really design a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch tile, flip that over to make a 3 by 3 inch, and then mirror that to make the required dimension a 9 by 12 that I have in the assignment sheet. Some other interesting ones. So really all this information I just grabbed from the internet of cool designs that you could sort of start with and then make it your own. So it's totally up to you how much of these designs you want to copy. You could copy them verbatim if you wanted to. You can add color to them if you wanted to. So you can just make as many layers as you want, as many hatches as you want, whatever colors you want. Everything is going to be printing black and white, but just so you know, but your CAD file can have color on it. It's another one. Now here's some different tiles that you could try to work with, and then they would repeat and make something different. Each one would make something different. So this is the sort of starting 3 by 3 tile. Okay. So you can look through those examples and kind of decide how you want to move forward. But let's sort of get started here together. And I want to show you some commands that will help you. Okay. So I'm just going to make a new layer, and I'm going to call it dashed. Okay, I'm just playing at this point. There's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm going to go ahead and click on line type and load a dashed line weight. I'm going to make sure I select it and hit OK so that it says dashed here. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to go to that layer, and I'm just going to start by drawing a polyline starting at 0, 0. So I'm going to do PL starting point, 0, 0. I'm going to go 3 inches to the right, 3 inches up, 3 inches over, and 3 inches down. Okay, so here's my first kind of 3 by 3 inch square. This is where I'm going to start drawing all my crazy stuff in here and making it look awesome. Okay, so I'm going to sort of fake that right now just to show you some commands. So I'm going to go to my 0 layer, and that's where I'm going to start drawing stuff. So I'm just going to draw some lines in here. So maybe this is the start of my my pattern. I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to put a line on top of this line, and then I can grab the midpoint and go there, there, there. Maybe I'll delete that extra line. I'm just going to leave that right as it is right now. Now, let's say you sort of got this 3 by 3 in a place that you love, and there's a ton of precise detail in it. And you want to see what it looks like sort of mapped out into the 9 by 12. Okay, so here's a couple tricks. I'm going to go ahead and grab everything here, and I'm going to type in group. Okay, now this is all one group. Very handy because then I don't have to go in and select everything. Okay, so now I'm going to go in, I'm going to grab that group, and I'm going to mirror it. MI for mirror. I'm going to mirror it about the vertical line. So that's 2 clicks. Erase source object, no. Okay, now I'm going to mirror both of these this way. That looks good. I'm going to mirror these one more this way. Okay, so this is 3 squares by 2. Now I'm going to grab all of them and mirror them this way. Okay. Look at that simple 3 by 3 and how complex of a drawing we've just created from that. For example, this we could never have sort of pictured in our head. I mean, maybe we could have, but it would have been hard to kind of see how that got brought to life. So this is sort of, let's say we're happy with this. Maybe we're not. Maybe we're like, oh, okay, I'm going to delete. I see where I'm headed here. I'm going to delete those, and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to type in ungroup. Now I'm going to keep working on it, and then I'm going to repeat the steps that I just did. Okay, here's another technique you can use. I'm going to go ahead and copy all of these lines, say over here. I'm going to, or actually before I do that, sorry, I'm going to do this. I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to type in block. Okay, you'll see what a block is in a minute. So I'm going to hit enter. Now it's saying, what do you want to call this block? And I'm going to call it tile 1. Okay. Okay, now look how this is sort of locked and grouped, almost like the group ungroup thing I just did. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do. I am going to copy this over here, way over here. Then I'm going to mirror this a couple times. Okay, that's good for now. Now, I'm going to go back to this original block, and I'm going to double click on it. Now it's saying, hey, do you want to edit this? Yes, I do. Okay. So now we seem to be like in a whole nother world, right? Okay. It has, now don't let the ribbon up here scare you. What I'm going to do is just this little window open. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to go back to my home tab over here. Now this should look just like before. Okay. So all of our same layers are still in here, including our XREF layers. Okay. So I'm going to add to this now. I'm going to add something here, and maybe. Okay, I added some lines. Okay. I'm going to go over here and click close block editor, and it's going to say, hey, do you want to save this? Yes. Boom. Everything that I changed in here on that block changed on all these blocks. So whatever I do to this one, it will do to this one. So you could block out the one tile and then create your 9 by 12 mosaic over here. And then you could sort of make edits to this one block and see what it does to the whole. Okay. So that is a perfect way to go. Okay. That is totally legit. So maybe I just design it here in the block and then see what happens over here. If I want to get rid of the block, I just click on it and type explode. And now that block is gone and I'm back to where I was started. Now, the tile one block is still saved within the project. So if I grab this and said block and said, oh, I'm going to call this tile one, hit OK, it's going to be like, hey, you already have a block called that. Do you want to redefine it? Yeah, let's redefine it. Now I've just save as'd over that block. And now it's called tile one is this new one. So this is a really good way to go. Okay. So let's say I have my finished mosaic is right here. Now I would say this one clearly isn't done. I'd like to see some line weights in there. I'd like to see some hatches in there. I'd like you to really explore all the tools that we've made so far. Okay. Now let's say we're done though. Okay. So I'm going to go to my sheet and I'm going to make a new layer and I'm going to call it viewport, right? This is what we did in the last lecture. I'll give that a color of cyan so I know what is what. And I'm going to make sure that this viewport doesn't print. Now remember, that means the border doesn't print, not the contents of the viewport. So I'm going to switch to the viewport and then I'm going to make a viewport, MV, enter. And I'm just going to do something like this. Okay, so it showed me everything in that viewport. I don't want to print this. I just want to print this. So I'm going to double click in the viewport, bring my drawing over. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now in the assignment sheet, I say set your viewport at a certain scale. So I'm going to select that viewport, go over to my properties. If this isn't open, just type in properties and go to standard scale and change it to one. Oh, what did I say? 1 inch equals a foot. 1 foot equals 1 foot. Let me double check on the assignment sheet so I don't lead you astray. Mm, 1 inch equals 1 foot is what I said. I might have to change that. Let me double check. So right now this is 1 foot equals 1 foot. I think that's what I meant because that seems to fit real nice. So if I select that standard scale. Standard scale is 1:1. That's what I meant to do. I'm sorry about that, but maybe I can. Let's see if there's another scale that fits better. Yeah, 1:1. Okay, 1:1's the best one. So I'm going to change that on the assignment sheet. Okay, that was looking pretty good. Now, here is something we need to go over. So I just went into my viewport. I double clicked. Let me undo that real quick. Not even letting me. That's okay, but I'm going to show you how to do this. Do you see how the dashes weren't there and now they're there? I'm going to double click in the viewport and type in RE for regenerate and hit enter, and then your dashes should appear. So if you get this in your viewport and you're like, it doesn't look right, try double clicking in there and clicking RE for regenerate. And then hopefully you'll see that. But be sure to set your scale first. Okay, so now that my scale's set, I got my mosaic in there. I mean, I can move it around in here, but I wouldn't want to do something like this, right? That would be an unfortunate way to sort of show my project. So I want to make sure. So what I'm doing right now is just holding down the middle mouse button, the wheel for pan, and I can position this right close to the middle. I'm looking to make sure I have somewhat of the same white space all the way around so it's nicely composed on the sheet. Then I'll click off to the side and that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go back and add more detail to my block. and make this really a beautiful drawing. And then I'll go ahead and just hit the big A and hit print because I've set up my print already and I'm good to go. So let me just look at a couple things. So I've just shown you in this is group and ungroup. I've shown you block, how to make blocks. Now, the other thing just to keep in mind that you might want to do, say when I'm designing this, I'm going to just explode this so I don't have a block right now. I'm going to go ahead up to layer properties. I'm going to make a new layer and call it construction lines. And I'll give it a color. Maybe I'll give it yellow will be my construction lines. Okay. Now, I'm going to just double check. My construction lines are actually set to no print, which is probably pretty good because I don't want them to print. But what I can do with my construction lines, let me go there, is sort of start setting this whole drawing up. So maybe I want to start with, let's say I had nothing on here. Okay, here's my 3" by 3". I might want to make a construction line, right? And the command for that is XL. Specify point. I could click here and then maybe up there. Oh, it went vertical right away. XL. Specify point. Okay, it looks like I'm stuck on ortho right now. Let me just see if I can turn that off. Wait. Tears for Fears. Anybody Tears for Fears fan out there? So that was my volume that just went in there. I need to minimize this a little bit. There we go. I'm checking these to make sure my object tracking. Where's my ortho? Oh, I just hit play. There we go. I'm not seeing what it is. Well, here's what I do just to show you. XL, enter. H, enter for horizontal. XL, enter. V, enter for vertical. So I can make vertical and horizontal construction lines. Now, those are going to go the whole length of your drawing. So you could use this to sort of set up the framework for your drawing. And then I could go, say, to a different layer and draw some lines and using the construction line points to help me sort of guide where I want to draw. Something like this, maybe. Anyway, I'm not showing any curves or anything in here at the moment, but man, play around. Some of the students in years past have come up with some really cool stuff. Very simple geometry in the tile that expands to something really beautiful in the mosaic. Okay, so that was kind of a lot of information, but I've set everything up on here and I'm ready to go. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to work on this, get a ton of detail and precision, and then I'm going to see what my mosaic looks like, and then I'll be ready to print when the time comes. So please hit me up with any questions or anything you may have, and try to have fun with this one. This should be a really fun one. After this, we're going to be going into floor plans. So really explore all the tools. Okay. Don't forget about curves. Don't forget about hatches, line weights, layers. Really make this beautiful. All right, guys. Thanks.